Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Becca, and today we are going to be talking about today's video is going to be all about our entire process of moving to New Zealand. I'm just filming this right now while I'm watching our boy. These are our 4 suitcases that we've been living out of for quite some time now. So, where to begin? Step 1 to moving to New Zealand is you have to obtain a visa. There's a few ways to do this. The most obvious one is a worker's visa. There's student visas. I'm sure there's others that I don't know about. But the tricky part right now is that with coronavirus and borders closed, it's incredibly hard to get your visa to go over there. A little background about us. Me and my husband were living in the Hudson Valley of New York, and he was doing a 3-year program out there. We were just finishing up the 2nd year of the program when we found out that I was pregnant, and I was very anxious and I wanted him to win his professional job so that we could settle down and move on to the next thing. He'd been taking professional auditions for quite some time, but I was really pushing for him to win his big job sooner rather than later with a baby coming. So the timeline of everything that happened, he won the job in February of 2020. Which you might be thinking, that was a very long time ago, and it was. He won the job, I gave birth in May, and then we were supposed to move over in June. But COVID happened and everything shut down starting in March. And then everything just went crazy from there. The border started shutting down, flights weren't going anymore, visas weren't being processed. We had no idea how long this whole thing was going to take, if it was going to be a few months delay, if it was going to be a few years delay. We didn't know if we needed to look for other jobs, if there were other jobs. It was kind of hectic. What we ended up doing is moving in between our families. So I'm from Texas, so we went down there, and then we went up to Utah and kept switching back and forth because, again, we had no idea how long this was going to take. So it was very hard to try to gauge what to do with our time because we didn't know how much time we had. So that for us was definitely the hardest part of this whole thing, is just trying to plan our life when it was impossible to plan anything. We spent a lot of time in our car driving back and forth. We flew way too many times, and this was all during a pandemic. It was very stressful. So what we did is we just kept traveling and living out of our 4 suitcases, but also it was kind of great because we got to spend some good time with our family, which we're moving very far away from them all, so that was kind of a silver lining to all of this, I guess. But if you have ever traveled extensively or been slightly homeless, then you know how exhausting it is. All you want is some routine, you want some security, you want somewhere to put all of your clothes. And doing all of this with a baby was just not ideal. So the next part of the process was getting our passports. My husband already had his passport squared away and that was ready. Mine was in my maiden name, which I'd been traveling with that for far too long, but I needed to get that changed for legal reasons. And then the final passport that we had to worry about was our baby's. So we tried to go actually and get it, but turns out you have to have a live baby there with you. The other crazy part about all this is that there was such a backlog of passports from everybody submitting them and nobody working on them that we had no idea how long it was going to take. It ended up kind of taking a significant amount of time, but it all worked out just fine. Part of the visa application is that you have to do a whole bunch of small things. For example, you have to do your thumbprint to make sure that you have no criminal background. You have to have a physical and blood work done to make sure that you're healthy and in good condition. And you have to have an x-ray to make sure that you don't have tuberculosis. And then there's just a bunch of fees and forms that you have to fill out and deal with. Funny story about my husband's x-ray, he actually went down to New York City because that was the closest clinic that would do it. He went down there and got it all done literally the day before everything completely shut down because of coronavirus. So that was incredibly lucky. And also, thankfully for our baby, he didn't have to do any of that crazy stuff. He just had a little physical to make sure that he was developing normally, and I guess so that he's healthy, so that he's not a burden on their healthcare system. It was all pretty easy for him. We actually applied for the workers visa before last summer, but they weren't processing any and they were moving so slowly that what ended up happening is his work applied for a border exemption clearance, which allowed our visa to be processed faster. So it ended up working out just fine. And then the last hard part of this whole process for us was actually booking the flight and the isolation hotel at the same time, because it kind of becomes your responsibility to get your date in the isolation hotel because you can't fly without that date. So we had to book the hotel to be able to buy the flight, but they had to line up perfectly because that's the only place that you can go once you land there. So if you don't have a place there, then they won't let you fly. That ended up costing a whole nother month. But we're pretty excited to be able to experience the isolation hotel. We are just beyond thrilled because we have 17 days left until we fly, and I can't even get over it. So first we're going to be flying to LA, and then from there it is a 14-hour flight to Auckland. And then once we get there, I don't even know what's going to happen, but we will take you through that whole process. While we have been so thrilled to be able to spend some extra time here with family and friends and loved ones, we are so happy that it is finally coming to an end and that we can move over and get settled down and find our new life in New Zealand. Another fun thing that we've had to do several times now is we have gotten rid of most of our belongings, which is a thrilling and very nice experience, actually. I feel like everybody wants the excuse to get rid of everything that they own. So if you would like to watch more of our process of moving to New Zealand, then please like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.